What is up, fellow DJs? You might be getting started, you might be a seasoned DJ, but there are things that I gotta tell you, and they're gonna help you whether you're on that end of the spectrum or this one. Doesn't matter. There's so much that you're gonna get out of this video, and I'm doing it in a different format today, a little bit longer, more of a podcast format. I wanna start doing on Wednesdays every week. I'm gonna drop a video, what did I learn from last weekend? All right, so try to get more of a regular series on here so you can expect that every Wednesday, and then I'll probably drop at least one each week outside of that. But this is a, what did I learn from this past week? And honestly, it's probably going to be about 30 minutes, I'm guessing. So sit back, light something up, enjoy a drink of choice, whatever it is, kick back and enjoy this, because I got the 3 best words that you could hear from an audience and why that might cause some anxiety, being brutally honest, and how it can actually help you instead of make things a little bit awkward. And then, of course, a pro tip to finish. It's all coming up right now. Let's go. All right, so let's start off with the 3 best words that you could hear as a DJ, which also could make you really nervous. Let them cook. Happens all the time if you're doing things right and you've got that audience eating out of your hand. Now, I want to talk about this because it can be extremely difficult once this happens. When you hear someone say, let him cook or let her cook or whoever, talking about you, what they're saying is, this DJ is killing it right now. I don't want to request anything. I don't want to do anything except just let him cook. He's killing it. Just let him do his thing. And when you hear that, that can actually cause a little bit of anxiety because it's like, oh, wow. Okay, it's all on me now. And what I want you to understand is that you've earned this. If you ever have a feeling where you know that you have the audience eating out of your hand, where, they're just saying like, yeah, what's next? What's next? When the song is over and they just can't wait for whatever it is that you're about to play. And honestly, you feel like you could play anything and they're going to love it and just eat it up. 2 things need to happen here. Number 1, don't take it for granted because you earned that. So don't screw it up and go start playing random things because like, oh, well, now I've got them eating out of the palm of my hand. Why don't I throw in some bop? And, why don't I throw in some scratching? Why don't I throw in some stuff that doesn't fit, that didn't get you there, right? Like, ride the horse that brought you there, right? Whatever was working, keep it going. Don't start now trying all these new things just because they're eating out of the palm of your hand. Right? If you're cooking for a group of people and they're loving what you're cooking, you're not going to all of a sudden go throw out a different type of cuisine. They're over here saying, let him cook because we like what he's cooking. So keep giving us what you're cooking, please. Right? So don't take it for granted and just feel like now you've got freedom to just do whatever the hell you want. But on the other end, you earned this. So don't be afraid to take some liberties and some chances to do something that you might not have done if you didn't know that you had them eating out of the palm of your hand. I'm basically saying 2 separate things. 1, don't take it for granted and be stupid about it and start doing random stupid things, but you earned this. So now really let yourself shine now that you're here. Do the things that you are confident in doing. There is nothing worse than having somebody love what you're doing and just wanting to be a part of what you're doing and not acknowledging them, ignoring them, not playing into that, right? So like if you're crushing it, and I'll just tell you how I got this point in my head. I was killing it the other night. There was just one of those nights where everything I was doing was working. And this group they loved me. And the 2 most beautiful women and their boyfriends came up to the front of the booth. So it's now just the 4 of them standing directly in front of my table, 3 feet from me, right? Whatever the distance between across my table. And all they kept doing was this, right? They kept doing this. And then the song would be over and they just yell, let him cook! And it was awesome. But it was so awkward because then they just stayed there and they were just staring at me like this, dancing and doing whatever they want. 2 most beautiful women in the room, just like this. And like, they will not break eyes. They're just staring at me. And the dudes are doing the same thing too. And these are like tall, athletic, attractive dudes. Like, this is like the it couples in the room, right? And you're just like, if you can win these people over, then you got everybody, because it's just kind of how it works. If you get the beautiful people on the dance floor, everybody sort of seems to come and join in. But how does it feel when I'm staring you down and I won't leave your eye contact? Right? It's like, it's very awkward, and I have nowhere else to go. And someone who's really comfortable with this, even felt like, oh, Jesus, they're going to sit here. Okay, I hate when people do this. Okay, because I don't, you have to embrace it. And you just have to you have to make eye contact with them. You can't shy away and do the one thing that most DJs do, which is, oh, people are looking at me. Let me look down at my stuff and just I'm going to stay here because eye contact is awkward. So I might even pretend I'm doing some stuff. I might just go load up the next song. Anything but looking up at the people. I'm telling you right now, it's the biggest mistake that you could make. Try to get used to the discomfort of people staring at you, looking at you. Why is it so comfortable? Or why is it so uncomfortable, right? There's a saying that the eyes are the window into the soul. And I firmly believe that. Look into eye gazing. Like, quick weird thing that happened with me and an ex one time. We were like, look, this is going to get intimate, but it is true, and I can't explain it. We were like laying in bed, but like not, just like pillow talk style. Like, we were just kind of laying in bed. We weren't saying anything. We were just like looking at each other. And we were right here face to face, just looking at each other's eyes. Our eyes were locked for about 10 seconds. And all of a sudden, at the same time, we both just said, I love you. And it was like, then we both looked at each other like, what the hell? It was this weird thing where like we were looking at each other's eyes and we kind of let our conscience go and drift. And then something just took over. And at the same time, we were both just like, I love you. And like, it shook us because of how it was just an unspoken communication. And then the words came, right? The unspoken part came first because of the eye gazing. And that's why it's so awkward when somebody comes up to your DJ booth. And a lot of times it ain't the most attractive person in the room, friends. Like, a lot of times this is going to be like an older mom or something, or like Grandpa Joe is just going to come over and he's just going to be like, all right there, Sonny, you're doing a good job tonight. And he's just going to stay there, and he's just going to be like, and you have to get comfortable. Yeah, man, all right, yeah, and then just kind of mirror what they're doing. They're probably mirroring what you're doing. So if you run out of stuff to do, just enjoy the moment. The best advice that I can give you is to be in the moment when this happens. Don't worry about, oh, this is getting awkward. This could get awkward if it goes longer than this. That's worrying about the future. Worrying about the past isn't going to help you either. All that's just going to create anxiety. Just be in the moment. If it feels right, then do it. If you want to be silly with them, do it. You can have a little fun, make them laugh, do one of these, right? Do it. Go run out and start dancing with them and do that and come run right back out. Just don't be stupid about it, but embrace the moment. When people are enjoying what you're doing, the worst thing you could do is look uncomfortable, right? Because then they're just going to be like, okay, well, that was fun. But if you soak it up and give it back to them, it's just going to re-energize them, and it's going to spread throughout the dance floor. So all I want you to know is when you hear the 3 best words that a DJ could hear, which is let them cook, embrace it, don't run from it, don't take it for granted, and when people are up here and they're making eyes with you, go with it. Be in the moment and enjoy it. You earned this, right? So go rock it. This is how you run a room. I want to finish this one point by hammering it home from something that Michael Scott said in The Office to Andy. Do you remember the episode where it was like Sweeney Todd and Andy was performing in the theater and Erin was the babysitter for Jim and Pam's kid, and she ended up bringing the kid to the theater because Andy was all upset that she wasn't going to be able to see it, right? At this point, you know this episode. At the end, they're all around and hanging out on stage, and they're kind of like, they're just like embracing Andy and the job that he did, because he's kind of the goof of The Office, but he, in a different setting, really was incredible and was showing off his talent of how he could sing and perform. And Michael says, Andy, I thought you were awesome. And And Andy's like, oh, come on, don't say that. You didn't mean that. And Andy says, and Michael says, and I'm paraphrasing, Andy, if I thought that you were awful, I would have told you. If I thought you were better than that, I would have told you. I'm the one that was booing the lead guy tonight. I have no ability to control what I say. But I thought tonight you were awesome. Nothing more, nothing less. And I think that's something that you can take away from this when you think about embracing people when their eye contact is locked onto you. Just be yourself. Nothing more, nothing less. Be who you are and let that shine. Be okay with that being seen by everyone. You're going to kill it every single time. Be yourself. Nothing more, nothing less. All right, so let's get into the second topic for today before we go into our pro tip and get you out of here. Being brutally honest is something that's very difficult when you're talking to your couples because obviously you want them to smile. You want to tell them good news, of course. But I have found that it's extremely beneficial to tell them the bad news if there is bad news or warn them about something that might be coming up, even if it's a little awkward, because that awkwardness is so much better than actually just not saying anything and then getting to the night and then watching that awkwardness play out and you didn't say anything. Like you could have saved them from that moment. So what I ended up doing, and this one comes with booking and contracts, so I think you can get a lot out of this. I was talking to a couple. They said, sounds great. Send us a contract. I said, okay, cool. I sent them a contract. And then I went to work a wedding. It was on the weekend. And as I'm working the wedding, I noticed they sent me an email that said, hey, this sounds great. We sent back some provisions to the contract. As long as you're okay with them, we'd love to go ahead and book with you. And now remember, I'm at a cocktail hour of another wedding that I'm working, so I can't really dig into stuff. I'm just kind of reading it as it's coming by. And so I open up the attachment and I'm looking at the contract and the provisions that they had written. And all of a sudden I just had this feeling in my stomach that was like, ugh, I don't love this at all. So I put it away, continued to work the rest of the wedding, went back to it after the weddings, after the weekend, so that I could give it the attention it needed. Why did that make my stomach kind of go, I don't think so? It felt like a lawyer had written it. I'm just going to tell you right now. And I was like, because part of it, they had put in a provision that was if for some reason the couple decides to cancel, the remaining balance will no longer be necessary. And of course, the deposit is non-refundable. And for me, when I'm reading that, I'm like, ooh, no, we don't cancel weddings. There is no in case we cancel. 100%. Huge red flag. So instead of going back and forth, especially while I'm working another wedding, don't do that. But instead of even the next day going back and forth on an email, that's not a good idea. If you want to go over provisions and stuff, do not do that over email. If you're ever unsure of something and you need to just get inside their brain, don't do it over email because the tone gets messed up, the message gets messed up, everything gets screwed up. Call them. It took one quick phone call. I said, hey, what's going on with these provisions? Tell me about this. And we started talking about it. I actually had a thought, maybe I shouldn't work with these people because anybody who thinks that you might be able to cancel a wedding is not somebody that I want on my calendar. You just do not cancel weddings. That's going to cost me $1,000 at least. And this was for a June Saturday in 2024. That's a big day that you're not going to be able to book if they cancel it a month or two out. Those days book, here we are a year out. And so you got to be really careful when you see people saying okay, sure, we'd love to book with you. And then if we cancel, what's the deal with that? And it's no, there is no canceling. And so a lot of vendors will see something like that and be like, hey, sorry, not a good fit. Good luck. And they just won't even go forward. And so that's actually what happened is I called them and I said, hey, talk to me about some of these provisions. What's going on? And what ended up happening is the poor bride was telling me how they did the exact same thing with their venue. They just shot back a couple of provisions because their father is a lawyer and he looked over the contract and he made sure to put in a couple of provisions to protect them. And what did the venue do? They came back and said, hi, we appreciate the provisions that you've provided into the contract. Unfortunately, that's not how we do business, and it looks like we're not a right fit, so we're not going to be able to move forward. We wish you the best. Good luck with your wedding. Bye-bye. And they were like, excuse me? wait a minute, I'm not saying like, and she was very sweet. She was like, I didn't even necessarily need those provisions to be in there. We put them in because my dad thought it would be good, that it would make sense. And they saw that and just was like, nope, like, I guess we're not even welcome there anymore. Why did that happen? Because as soon as a vendor, a venue, anybody working in the wedding industry, especially for a Saturday in June, like a big day, as soon as they see any reason that you might be a problem as a client, they're going to see ya. And I tried to, I didn't try, I did explain to her. I said, can I tell you why that happened? And she said, sure. What is going on? I said, I actually had that thought to tell you that maybe we shouldn't work together. And she said, what? I said, that's why I'm calling you right now. Because at first I actually had that thought when I saw your email. And if I had that thought, because I'll get along with anybody. I am like, I will work with anyone. But if I had the thought, ooh, maybe I shouldn't work with these people, this might be a litigious couple, then they definitely had that thought as the venue. And she said, I don't understand. I said, let me put it this way. It's not a buyer's market. For a Saturday in June, think of it like the housing market. When it's a seller's market, the buyer has to do everything. Why? Because, hey, if you don't want this, there's like 7 other people over here who are going to take it. And at my provisions, with none of this extra provisions that you're putting in, you're asking for a Saturday in June, in September, in May, in October. I'm sorry, it's not a buyer's market. So if you start doing anything at all that's going to make the vendor feel a little bit queasy by the way that you're rewording their contract, it's like, no. Listen. Here's how I do my business. Here's the contract. And if you like it, that's great. I'm going to kill it for you under these conditions. If you don't like it, there's no sending me provisions to make you feel better because there's like 10 people over here who would just die to have my provisions on a Saturday. Do you understand how this is working? And she was like, oh my God, I never even thought about it like that. And I was like, it's not a selfishness. I only have 4 Saturdays in June, right? So you've got to make sure you book the best couples possible on those Saturdays. And if anyone is giving you any reason at all to maybe not book that couple, get them out of here because you're easily going to book somebody else who's going to fit your profile of what you need for that Saturday. And she was like, oh my God, I can't even believe this. I never wanted to come across that way. And then she started telling me that she's got other stuff going on in her life, that's caused some stress and anxiety, like things that we all have to deal with. And it all started coming out in the call and she started tearing up and I could hear her start to cry. And in a lot of situations, I think a DJ could be like, oh man, I caused this. Oh shit, just forget it. Just start telling her things that she wants to hear. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What I did was reassure her that she is not doing anything wrong, but it's just probably not the best fit if you give somebody provisions and they come back and say, hey, this is not right for me. Let's not get upset at the fact that we no longer are working at that venue because quite frankly, that wasn't the right venue for you, right? And so if you have these provisions that are going to make you comfortable on the contract, that's okay. If they come back and say no, well then, that's their right. But all that is them telling you we're probably not a good fit. It's not personal. And I told her, I said, with me, I wanted to just give you a call because I got really nervous at the sentence that said, if we decide to cancel, the remaining balance is now, kaput. There is no canceling weddings, babe. Like you don't cancel weddings. Now I'll put a force majeure clause in there. So if there's an act of God like COVID or a hurricane or something, obviously I'll work with you and we'll get you rescheduled. But I'm not putting language in a contract that's going to allow you to get out of it just because you feel like it. Like that's not how this works. And she was like, I just can't tell you how much I appreciate you calling me and just explaining this to me. I've never done this before. I had no idea. And quite frankly, I don't really care about these provisions. My dad put them in. I'll take them out. Do you think I still have the chance to work with that venue if I take those provisions out? Or do you think they're just over me? And I explained to her, I said, if you come at them and I just coached her up through the moment. And I told her that, basically there are a lot of other people who want your date. And if you're not willing to work under their conditions, they're not going to work with you. It's not a buyer's market here. It's not like it's February and they're dying to get anyone in the door because nobody does their weddings in February. So they'll make any provisions for you. Oh, sure. You want to put that in there? Yeah, whatever. It's a February wedding. I don't care. Just come on in. Whatever I can do to get you in. right? That's what happens when there's a buyer's market in the housing industry. Nobody's buying houses, then the sellers are just going to say, whatever, dude, I'll pay your closing costs. Whatever, I don't care. But you got to understand, when you're booking really important dates, it is not a buyer's market. It's a seller's market. So don't let people chip away at all the things that you need to do your job right or make you feel uncomfortable because, hey, man, you're in control here and you don't have to book people, okay? This is the one thing I wanted to explain to you. But I almost sent them an email that said, hey, I don't think this is going to work for me. This makes me feel uncomfortable. I hope you have a great time at your wedding. And instead of doing that, I called her and just had a conversation. And that's what I want you to get out of this is, if you're unsure, you're just uncomfortable about something, just call and have a conversation because you're interviewing them the same way that they're interviewing you. And if something doesn't feel right, you don't have to work with them. You're not being a jerk about it, but you're saving them from making mistakes they're going to turn. I told her, I said, you keep putting provisions like that into your contracts, no one's going to work with you on a June Saturday. It's just, I'm telling you now. And she was just very grateful that I was able to tell her what was going on and why she was being responded to by vendors this way. And now they're like really excited to work with me. I'm helping them choose a different venue. I'm giving them some suggestions. Like, I'm so on their good side now because they know they can trust me. I'm not just going to be a yes man. I can tell them negative information, but in a positive way, in a way that we're all going to move forward and get something out of it and make a right decision for you. You can do that. Don't be afraid to give brutally honest bad news. If it's something, you got to tell them. You're the professional. They've never done this before. They're counting on you for that honesty. All right, let's get into the pro tip before I get you guys out of here. This comes from this past weekend. I booked 2 weddings right after, so I did Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then on Sunday I booked 2 weddings. And I did the same thing on both calls, and it's something I've been doing lately. It's been working. I wanted to bring to you a tip to help you book more weddings. When you're on the phone with a potential client and they're going through asking you questions and stuff and wondering, are you right for me? Get them talking about an experience of watching a bad DJ. If you can do this, woo, it's going to make your sales call so much easier. What I mean by that is you're talking and you're just having a conversation with them and you're going over some things and you say, have you been to a wedding before? Have you been to a bunch of weddings? Have you not been to a ton of weddings? What's your experience there? Oh, yeah, we've been to a few weddings. Okay, cool. Hey, have you ever seen a bad DJ? Ask them that question. Works every time because most of the time they're going to say, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. And if they say no, I've never seen a bad DJ, you can be like, oh, well, I'll tell you, it can stick out like a sore thumb, right? A bad DJ is different from a bad caterer because at least no one's seeing the caterer doing what they're doing behind the house. They're going to just taste the food. And maybe the food's great, but the caterer is an asshole. Well, no one knows any different. But the DJ, it's like everyone is just watching you the entire night. And if you look like a jerk or if you're making mistakes, it sticks out more than any vendor ever. And you want to kind of get that across to them. So what I do is I say, have you ever seen a bad DJ at a wedding? And if they say, oh, yeah, then ask them. Say, well, what was it? What stood out to you? What made them kind of cringy? What kind of made them feel like a bad DJ to you? Get them talking about it. Well, he did this and he really didn't do this, because what you're going to get is you're going to get insight into what's important to them, while at the same time getting them to realize you're listening to what they don't want, and they're going to feel this trust that they're building with you because you're listening to what they don't want, and you're understanding, yeah, I don't want this at all. This DJ sucked because he was talking the whole time. He had a pink wig on, and this guy was making it all about himself. It's a wedding. Like, I don't want my wedding to feel that way. And then you vibe with them on that, and you say, oh, that's ridiculous. Yeah, some of these amateur hour DJs, they see a lot of the dollar signs that wedding DJs make, but they're used to working in clubs, and they say, well, I can do that. And then they go do what they do in the clubs at a wedding, and it just doesn't fit. They're 2 separate skills. And what you probably saw at that wedding was a club DJ doing their thing in a setting where that's just not even close to appropriate. You see how easy that just goes right into that person wasn't right for weddings. I can tell you why, and I will save you from that because this is all I do. This is my life. And if you're booking a club, same thing. You ever seen a bad club DJ? Oh, yeah, man, this guy was awful. Yeah, well, tell me about it. Why was he so bad? Whoever you're booking towards, ask that person if they've ever seen a DJ be bad in that situation, whether it's a club, a wedding, a company party, whatever, and then get them talking about it. Bond with them over that. Laugh with them over that. Oh my God, they did what? They stopped the music every single time and asked the crowd what they wanted to hear next. I mean, you'd be shocked at some of the ridiculous things people will tell me the DJs have done. And all it's doing is just building confidence that they can talk to you, that they can be honest with you, and that you're not going to do that because you were allowed them to tell you what they don't want. I'm telling you, if you can get them talking about a bad DJ experience and then you can just kind of bro down with them about it, oh man, guaranteed sales. I'm telling you, you're going to book that wedding. I can't guarantee it, but I booked 2 on Sunday just doing that alone. I hope this all helps from you. I'm going to start doing this every Wednesday, start talking about things that I learned from the previous weekend. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Hey, I'm at 1,000 subscribers today. I'm at 999. So maybe you'll be 1,000. And I think we'll be able to monetize this channel here in the next month or so. So make sure you guys stay tuned because the moment that I monetize, I'm going to do a giveaway from anybody who's subscribed. So as long as you're subscribed, you'll be able to get to be eligible for the prize. It is going to be at least a $200 value. So just be ready for it. I'm excited to give back to you for everything that you all have been given to me. I just really enjoy doing this and seeing some of the feedback that it's helping some DJs out there in the comments section. If you have any questions, anything that you'd like me to make a video about, I read all the comments. I respond to every single one of them. So go ahead and hit me up down there. I got you. I'll see you on the next one. Go kill it this weekend. Working for yourself, making your own money, living the dream, working in the music industry. You can do this. I can do this, and I'm showing you how. All right here on this channel. Good luck, everyone.